Hi, good morning, everyone. Bill Droege with Turnkey Technologies. Just want to give you a little introduction. What we're going to talk to a little bit of my background. I'm been a Microsoft Dynamics consultant for about 12 years. Been involved in the F&O product, which is precursor was AX 2012, even back to AX9. So been through the product and evolution of it. Now everything's in the cloud. It's nice and simple for us, or can be in the cloud, and very simple for us to access and help you help our customers move forward into the 365 space. Just want to tell you, my background again is in trade and logistics, which is what we're going to talk about today. And as a general agenda here, we're going to talk about a little bit about forecasting, how we develop, how many, where, when we need product. Locating product locations, which is the inventory management, warehouse management system, kind of combined in terms of where we want to stock items, how we want to replenish them and store them so we can have quick, efficient picking, put away those types of things, those transactions. I'll show you a little bit of the pick, pack, ship in terms of how that relates to the first steps, and I'm trying to do this in a little logical order that would say here's how we support our sales and how we process and do fulfillment in terms of those sales. And then we'll talk a little bit about mobile devices, which is nice for feature function related to doing these transactions, particularly warehouse transactions, be able to locate, pick items, validate items with scanners, and process transactions quickly, either inbound, outbound, for your customers and for your internally bringing product in. Talk a little bit about transportation management. That's starting to be a big feature for us. It's, again, trying to reduce costs in terms of freight, both inbound, outbound, ability to have freight rates involved in the system, be able to schedule deliveries and have people at your dock organized and have your staff scheduled regularly to and appropriately, efficiently to be there when product is coming in and going out. So staffing is a big piece of that as well. And then we'll talk a little bit about Power BI, which is kind of the overview reporting tool, business intelligence tool that we allow, to drill down into your data to kind of see, where you're at in different things, allow you to build these KPIs, key performance indicators. What do you measure? What do you measure across your business, across your industry? How do you perform, both inside of your business and against the industry to see where you might be doing things better. And then in that data, you'll have drill down capability to see where you have problems and be able to go back and fix processes. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about the Microsoft Stack. And it'll be in PowerPoint. I have a live demo up as well and a little bit of the live WMS up for the warehouse management piece just to show you a flavor of that. But kind of our short time frame, I'm going to probably stay in the PowerPoint a little bit just to give you some feature functions. And then again, our goal here is to, first of all, get you, some information at a high level, at least of what Dynamics 365 finance and accounting, F&O, finance and operations, is about, and then we'll help you move through the process as you start to take a deeper dive into it to see if it's a fit for you. So inside the stack, the big thing is outside the outliers here in the gray are the Microsoft pieces that are around it in the cloud. So we have a single sign-on from Office 365. So if you're an old 365 user, come right in, you're in your Outlook and you click over and you go into finance and operations. So it's drill right through. It takes your login password and passes you right through in the system. So it's seamless integration there. We use O365 for your email and for some outbound docs. You want to do that. Power Apps and Microsoft Flow are some tools that we integrate different components of the Microsoft Stack. So you see finance and operations here. You see talent, which is an HR component. You see retail. If you're in a retail environment, you would have your retail stores capability. Again, all this would be sending data via Flow or the common data service back into your ERP, which is finance and operations. Project service automation, if you have service, if you have marketing tools, CRM tools, sales, field service, we have capability there. So project service would also be project management as well. So if you do projects, that type of piece. Sales would be a CRM component of marketing and sales here, and then customer service in there. So a couple of these are kind of combined in different products within the Microsoft stack, but they're all integratable to finance and operations, which we're going to talk about today. Cortana Intelligence sits outside when I start to talk about the forecasting capability in terms of forecasting demand to support the inventory needs you have to support your customer sales. We'll use some of these components, Cortana Intelligence, Power BI again as part of that, and then Azure IoT. And App Source is a capability for you to do some develop some apps of your own. Power Apps is kind of similar there. You can go out and get Power Apps, which are kind of an ability. There's a marketplace where people are developing these apps, and they are been certified or can be certified against finance and operations, so you can bring them in. So basically, you can reach out and get development, extend your system without having a development team inside. So we move from the stack to the different modules. So really a full suite here. Budget and forecasting, project accounting. I kind of mentioned some of these invoicing and billing. Some of these are combined in the general F&O finance capability. Basically, the top row here is built into that. The second tier then is more in the T&L area where you can have the cost management, inventory, master planning. There is a production component that can be licensed as well versus just the straight distribution or inventory management, buy it, sell it type scenario, or buy it, assemble it scenario, light assembly versus full-blown production. The TMS that we're going to talk about is another application integrated in the system. It's basically just gets licensed. The warehouse manage is the advanced warehouse management, which allows you to identify, the bin locations and do wave picks and consolidate orders on picks and then break them out and pack them. The HCSM is the HR as well. And then all these pieces kind of come through with the standard product, which is the analytics, the mobile apps, office integration that we kind of talked about, the admin capability, just setting up users and roles, and security, which is a big component of this, to identify what people have what roles, to secure them in those roles. So their access is basically limited to what they need to be doing. And there's development tools in terms of sandbox and visual basic applications to do out there. So again, complete solutions. This is more a display of how we work through system on a day-to-day basis, organizational structure. Again, how you want to model your organization. Is it multi-company? Is it, do you do intercompany? Do you do roll-ups in terms of your financials? Those types of things. So again, those organizational structure and financials are kind of integrated there in terms of what you want to do to maintain and to develop the financials that you need to manage and run your business. Procure to pay, I'm sure you've heard, that's a process. I want to issue a purchase order. I want to buy materials. I want to bring them into stock my levels, support my sales. I want to be able to receive it, compare it to the vendor invoice, and pay it to do all that process straight through. Quote to cash, kind of same scenario. From a customer, I take a customer quote, identify the materials he wants, pricing that he needs to get through a pricing capability. You can set standard pricing by customer, by item scenarios, by groups of items, bring those through, fulfill those orders, and then get paid, process that into an invoice, either on a cash sale or credit card sale, or process it on account and have a payment come in later and process the payment to clear your AR. So quote to cash. Multi-channel, again, is more kind of a retail application, and we're going to do some different marketing pieces. Again, a web integration potentially here, a web store to pull down inventory out of your inventory warehouses, and then be able to then process a web order on the back end and basically do the fulfillment like you would a regular quote to cash, but deliver that to your product. So the supply chain management is managing all those pieces: inventory, vendor relationships, your inventory, the products themselves, in terms of a product information management capability to understand what products you want to keep, content basically that you might have and publish to your website, documentation, hazardous materials, MSDS type stuff, images, all that along in the supply chain piece, as well as this is where we would store reorder points, calculations, and do your forecasting. Manufacturing, again, is a process or discrete manufacturing, and it would allow you to build bombs and identify, what your recipes are, maybe on a process or in a discrete bomb, what gets assembled together, what puts together, what stage, bomb routes and workstations, all embedded in that. And then the HR piece, hire to retire, the full life of an employee in your organization. And we're in all these industries right now. We're in heavily in manufacturing, distribution, retail, and services. Services is a big component of our customer base. There are a lot of companies that are doing services and doing project management and pieces, and we have a couple of public sector companies here at Turnkey as well. So again, the financial backbone is a big part of this. Budget, general ledger, accounts payable, accounts receivable, kind of talked about in terms of billing your customers, purchasing materials and bringing them in, paying your vendors, cost accounting if you're in some light production or production capability, you want to roll up cost and develop standard costs for your items, track that and measure your profitability based on those cost capabilities. Fixed assets, if you have assets, we'll identify the assets, suggest depreciations, automate depreciation process, ability to keep multiple books on assets so that if you're reporting one for taxes and one for depreciation, those types of things, we can manage all that, keep images and track the assets in terms of where they're at in your organization. Project accounting, again, if you're launching projects and want to manage budgeting inside of a project and delivery of projects to customers on time and profitably. There's a whole tool in terms of project management that's embedded in finance and operations. So what's the key here? We enable users to make better decisions by the display of their data, making it simple inside of workspaces, which I'll show you in the first shot here. I'm going to get to the live environment. Comply with local regulations, so all your built-in, all your rules. Comply global regulations. The system is completely SOX and internationally compliant there. And then a powerful account structure. So just a quick mention of this is the globalization capability, a big thing in terms of the electronic reporting, the GDR stuff, and some of these are coming probably eventually here to the U.S. So we already have experience with this in terms of data formatting and data protection, that type of thing. Again, and the product typically we're selling is cloud-based, and that lives in the Azure cloud, which is very secure, and Microsoft spends millions and millions of dollars to support and maintain that level of security. So let's take a look at a little bit of the access into finance and operations. Big thing here, again, in the kind of the flow of this is talk about having what products, how many, and where. So one of the things the system can do, and this is just a look at one of the workspaces, the master planning workspaces. So from here, system will go in and calculate what I need in terms of materials in to support either my sales or my production work orders, those types of transactions. So you can see they have a lot of planned purchase orders, which would be to suggest that I buy something externally, bring it in, and either ship it through my distribution arm or bring it in to feed my production line. The planned transfers as well. Again, if I mentioned you can have multiple warehouses, potentially multiple sites within one company. Up here I'm in one company, USMF, which is a manufacturing company kind of look and feel for my demo. And it will be able to, inside that organization, understand that I have certain sites. Maybe I have one or two different central distribution centers, and I have warehouses that are associated with those centers, and they work basically between those centers, bring it in and ship it out. Maybe I've got a different center where I have a production facility, and I want to bring material over there from the distribution center, basically buy enough to support my distribution, and maybe even I have another more remote. So the site scenario sometimes lends itself to a large geographic space that some companies may be working in. So you have a more of a business unit scenario there in terms of the site, and then the warehouse would typically physical warehouse scenario that it's going to say that local site supports some amount of sales or production orders and sales, and developing reorder points and stocking levels, based on those transactions. So from master planning, we take a look at one of these individual transactions, and basically underneath we're going to do a forecast to suggest what we need. So this particular plan PO said I needed 150 units. That's because I need 150 to support my sales production here. I'm sitting at net supply 75. I'm going to order back up to 150 and drive this through. Kind of gives you a graphic look in terms of my stock level I need to maintain to go through this. Underneath this, there's the basic sales usage demand that we can forecast from and use formulas against. So it takes a look to where that's at. So the basic demand forecasting says we gather our historic transactional data, sales data, transfer data, production data, and we use that to forecast, taking a look at seasonal scenarios, spikes, and whatever level of your demand. We can use the Cortana intelligence to use some of that. So you do some of that in machine learning to generate a forecast based on historical demand. There are various demand models that you can choose to use. When we take people live, we'll transfer your historic history into this model. So we can use that history and even factor it and clean it and then process it through to a good forecast. Then you can view and make changes to that forecast. If for some reason the model didn't fit exactly, we can take some examples and even move things into different forecast models inside of your inventory to allow for the best fit in terms of that forecast. Then we actually authorize a forecast which puts it in play, which now this is the forecast that I'm running. This is the reorder points that I'm calculating against, and when something drops below reorder point, we would suggest we replenish and issue one of these planned purchase orders or planned transfers. Some of the parameters in this says, what makes up my demand, and then in just a general sense here, is it sales orders, is it production orders, is it Kanban transactions or and transfers? Do you want to have quotes have an impact in your demand? If you take a quote but you don't get it for some reason because it's large, it has an impact in the inventory, that's your option, that's your choice. Does project, special one-off project usage impact your demand? Transfers, if you have multi or central distribution space, are we pulling transfers together in one delivery point and then managing our inventories around that site, around that distribution center? So there's a lot of different pieces to turn on and get this. I just want to give you a flavor of historic demand and the capability to identify what goes in that demand to be able to project a forecast. So now we've got a forecast. We're working on the forecast. Well, now we're just going to suggest we buy something. We're going to bring it in. Well, where do we put it in the warehouse? How do we optimize the warehouse locations? So we have all these capabilities, zones, groups, location profiles that tell me where different things can go, different location types, bulk, bin, some scenarios like that. And then this all works around the standard warehouse management parameters. So the big thing is to have a directed pick on an outbound sales order, have a directed put away on an inbound receipt. All those transactions, once the warehouse is laid out, will set up those defaults for the item, and it's all by item settings that we can define by items where the optimal place for this storage. It'll zone. You can lay out the bins, set up the maxes up for the bins, set out the physical size of the bin. So if you do some kind of dynamic stuff, it can get to a very high level warehouse management capability to basically do a dynamic bin location scenario. If you have items coming in different sizes, or you can locate things in different sections. Again, maybe move bulk to box and things like that. So a big piece of that is all built into the system. These are just some of the flows that we would do in an inventory management application. So we got an inbound operation. We come in, again, the system would say it's arrived, and here's the put away, standard bin location for it, zone it, bin it right to the most optimal place. Cross dock, have it on the dock. Every time you touch it inbound, it's going to tell you, you have to tell where you've got it and where you're putting it, where you're setting it at. We have a QA process built in as well. You can identify one QA done on inbound to make sure the product's coming in and has a quality test against it before I try to use it in my production facility or something like that. And then you have your basically inventory operations where you might do again, your setup of your location, status, whether things are available or not, check stock, all kinds of stock inventory looks, transfers, counts. So if you do a cycle or a full physical, all that's supported in the system. And then this all moves through the calculation of replenishment. So you have, if you're in bin location, you want to top off bulk to bin, it'll do a top off remove scenario for you. And again, tracking batches and serial numbers is all built in the system as well. So on the production side or just any product that may have an expiration scenario, we can assign a batch. You can assign a batch, or the system assign a batch number to track that that batch throughout for all the way through to compliance labeling and those pieces as well. And then the outbound side, we're going to have basically, identify where we're going to pick these transactions. We reserve the inventory on a reservation hierarchy that you can set up or have it at least first in, first committed. In and out, we can rotate your stock on a FIFO type inventory as well, model there. And then we have some costing capability, count things and define the pricing. If you do any inventory adjustments and things, we can recalculate the inventory value. So a lot of pretty deep application around the inventory management piece. The next piece is just a simple kind of guide here of a pick, pack, ship. We're going to have an outbound order. We're going to reserve the inventory, pull it together on a picking list, go around, gather it up, and then stage it for shipment. We send the shipping out. We generate that packing slip for that to go in the box and then send it out on your delivery. So from there, one of the big things is, how am I going to ship certain types of orders, what kind of items are on it. And one of the things you can see, and I'm going to move to my live demo here real quick, is these sales orders are going through these various transactions. This is my live demo, and I'm kind of moving around. You'll see different sales order types, sales orders, return orders, requirements, where they're at in terms of customer side. Are they invoiced yet? I kind of let this open. I had invoiced and open orders being processed, and then who they're assigned to and where they're at in the stage of delivery. So I'm going, nope, that one didn't like that. Sorry, go past that. It bounced me out of my. So the next piece I kind of want to talk and from this current slide, there we go. So the next thing we do is, as we're working in the warehouse and doing these various applications, particularly the picking, the put away, the inventory transactions that we're doing, what's kind of devices or capability to do this in the system. And there's some free apps out here that will allow you to do that, actually imitate or have the whole F&O system on the, exposed on a mobile device. And then your login assignment to your role, to your security will allow you then what features, what access you have. So we can do iPhone, iPad scenarios with this. And then the other scenario is then what we do again with the actual inventory processes. So we can expose basically a small menu for inventory transactions. Again, this is nicely done on a handheld device or a tablet. Got inbound, outbound, inventory production. If you're involved in that quality issues, some of the things I just talked about in terms of inventory management capabilities. Nice activity here, inbound, outbound, I'm going to do something. Here's an image of a pick ticket. I'm doing a pick. Here's where the location is. This is the license plate kind of assigned to that particular transaction, that order. Then I'm pulling together item number, the pieces. I can go out there and enter, yeah, I'm in that right item area, that license plate. I enter my quantity, process this, give me an image here to identify maybe, there's a couple of like type items in that same area, and I'm going to be sure I'm getting the right one picked at that point in time. So we can develop all that and have that content there and share it out as we go. Transportation management is basically then, again, we're going to store these rates for your different carriers and your different opportunities to ship here, the UPS, FedEx, obviously the easy ones, and then you have your LTLs and various local transportation. Maybe you have your own fleet and you want to manage it as well and different cost structures related to that. So again, there are orders and lines and how many we have, quantities and weights obviously impact the size of the shipment, cubic measurements. We cube all that stuff up in the orders. In either the purchase orders or outbound shipments, identify what we're going to ship, and then identify how that would fit in particular loads. So you have your different trailer sizes, and if you had your own fleet, what's the best optimal size trailer to use? If I'm using again an LTL, what's their rate for various sizes of shipments? How can I do a best least freight application basically from there? How do I send it through? How do I send it through multiple destinations or through multiple carriers to, take the truck to the airport, load it on a freight, send a UPS and outbound. And we do a lot with some foreign import capabilities to bring it in from the dock to the truck and bring it into your location. We track it on the water type scenarios and understand when it's there and available, and you have to be there in time to pick it up and unload that vessel before you start getting hit with charges, that type of thing. So you get shipments and loads, and we calculate a load and identify, what that load value is and how it plays against the rates of your various carriers. So again, create or modify an inbound load, assign a rate, and do this. Basically, a rate table is exposed in the sales order process or in the work order process of you combining shipments together to create that load. And then you consolidate those to get the multiple shipments into a load, and then confirm the load and pull that through, register it, and check the driver in and out for the appointment as you do the load. So there's a lot of control capability in here beyond the rate shopping scenario that'll help you schedule things and maintain your efficiencies for your warehouse resources, employees. Same thing on an outbound one, basically take it through the process, build a load, run it through the rates, and identify what's the best choice for that load. So basically, those are some of the big pieces I was talking about. I wanted to get to some of this reporting. Reporting language, we have native basic charts and controls. We have embedded Power BI and finance and operations that you can go to these Power BI tables or Power BI data presentations and be able to look at them and drill down on them. This is all your data from a low level up to a higher level, and then has a drill down capability, so you consolidate it up. You look for exceptions, and then you drill down to them to find those. We have a native chart control that's built in, SSRS reporting, which is kind of standard, paper-based kind of reports, and we had a lot of different reports out of the box in the application. Financial report designer, we have standard financial reports, and you can use a report designer. FRX, I think, was the precursor to this, and now in F&O it has that same kind of capability to do that. And then the BI component, which is kind of your data exploration. We'll pull that out and drill that data from a high level and develop the basic kind of things in terms of graphic representations and KPI measurements that you want to do. So again, the embedded analytics with Power BI inside, you got some charts and grids and things developed from there. Build data entities. We have standard data entities. You can aggregate and pull bigger data entities. So your role, sales, history, and warehouse pieces, and sales by group of customers, and all these types of things to get the component, to get the data raised to the level that you want to use and measure. This is kind of a little bit of an output, graphic and charts over the year over year and period and volume to do that. So inside some of this, like in the master planning, there has the ability, and I lost my connection. So it's going to reset for me. It was just staying out of it. So one of the things we'll see over here on the capability on the side is to get the development of these Power BI tools, so you can see these displays of various data pieces. You can stay out of here and do that. And then identify, let's do credit collections. That's always a good one. So you can embed these charts right in the system. So this is a kind of a quick look at my aged receivables, and I can drill into a piece of it and drill down. So I want to see what that current amount is in terms of the actual data. And that'll launch me out and show me, yeah, these are the invoices that relate to that, and the totals, and again, that they're in a particular current 30, 60, 90 days kind of scenario there. So the BI tool is very powerful. You can develop your own. There's some standard out of the box stuff and kind of get you started with, and then it's an easy tool to use, and you can pull spreadsheets and data that you had maybe used historically into Power BI and create graphic representations of that data as well. So just to tell you what we did here today, and I know it was kind of feeding you with the fire hose, so please follow up with us if you want some more detail. I kind of walked you through trade and logistics today. How do you forecast? How do you get material in? What level of materials you need? How do you locate them? How do you set them up for being efficient movement within your organization and outbound transactions? How do you do that in a warehouse management capability in a warehouse tool that we showed you in a little bit of mobile display? Transportation management, kind of from a high level, how you build loads and price and rate those loads and to get an optimal freight expense through there. And then Power BI or business intelligence that's both integrated in the system and has an ability for you to take and develop on your own. So with that, I'll give back to Brad for wrap up. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Please follow up with us.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bill, for that presentation. So I do want to go ahead and open the floor for the Q&A. If anybody's got questions now, please feel free to ask us. Of course, if you have questions after we log off today, you'll receive a follow-up email from me tomorrow with the login with the recording, and it'll have my contact information on there as well. You may have already received one from me in your confirmation email from your registration. So, and of course, you can always visit our website to contact us as well. And yeah, just a reminder, we'll be sending that recording out tomorrow. Bill, you want to go ahead and switch to the second to last slide I had on there? I just want to draw everybody's attention to a quick assessment opportunity. Perfect, there we are. Yeah, I just wanted to draw everybody's attention to this. If you're looking at Microsoft Dynamics 365 as your next ERP solution for your organization, there's a lot of research involved with finding the right ERP solution, a lot of questions to ask. And of course, there's a lot of information online, but you really don't know what you need or can't get your questions answered until you speak with somebody in person who's actually getting to know your exact scenario. So we offer free fit gap assessments. It's a 1 hour, no charge, no obligation assessment where we're going to look at your short-term goals and long-term goals and see if Microsoft Dynamics 365 fits those, at least from a high level. And then you can take it further from there, or at least get an idea of where you want to take your research further. So of course, we hope you choose us as your Dynamics partner, but again, there's no obligation to this. At the very least, you'll walk away with some more information specific to your exact organization, and you'll have a path to move forward with your research.